Welcome to 7.3. It's the last lesson of Algebra 1A. Congratulations, you've made it. Well, at least after this lesson. So, linear inequalities in two variables. So a couple of things that are in your packet I'd like to highlight for you is that notice that all of these will not be equations but inequalities. So we'll be using the following symbols. Greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. All right, and know that a solution is essentially an ordered pair that makes an inequality true. All right, now I'm skipping a couple of the examples that are in the packet because I believe we should kind of do a live action of what we're going to be doing today. So here it says determine whether the given ordered pair is a solution of each inequality. So first let's go ahead and label x and y for each of these points. Then go ahead and rewrite our inequality. Instead of writing x or y, let's leave those spaces blank. Take a moment right now to go ahead and place where you think 8 and 3 should go. On pause, you should have put 8 here and 3 there. Take a moment and figure out what 3 times 8 is and -6 times 3 is. On pause, that would be 24 and -18. I'm going to bring down my inequality symbol and 4. Let's go ahead and figure out what 24 take away 18 is. And that would be, what would that be? 6. So 6 is less than 4. Now, is this true? Is 6 less than 4? No. If it's not true, that means that 8, 3 is not a solution. All right, get ready because we're going to do number 2 in just a moment. All right, let's go ahead and do the next one. Go ahead and label x and y for our points. Rewrite our inequality, y greater than 7x plus 10. And instead of writing x and y, let's go ahead and leave them open. Take a moment right now and see where the points, or where the numbers, should go. The numbers should have gone 3 and -2. Let's go ahead and work out what's 7 times -2. -14. Let's bring down that 3 and greater than symbol, that plus 10. What's -14 plus 10? And -4. And that would be 3 greater than -4. Is it true that 3 is greater than -4? Yes, it is. And if so, -2, 3, that point that we had originally, is a solution. All right, moving on. I know this is not in your packet, but please take some time somewhere in your packet, in your notes, write this down. When we're graphing, we're going to be graphing some lines, and we're going to be doing 2 extra things in addition to what we've been doing, which is graphing lines. We're going to decide whether the line is going to be dashed or solid, depending on the symbol we use. And then we're going to shade one side or the other. If we shade below the line, we'll be using these 2 symbols. If we shade above, we'll be using these 2 symbols. So right now, pause the video, write it down somewhere, use it as a reference to be doing some of the problems we're going to be doing, and also in the homework. All right, so they go over the procedure of how we're going to graph. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to solve for y, and I'll show you how to do that. We are then going to graph. If it's using one of these symbols, it's going to be solid. If it's using one of these symbols, it'll be dashed. And then we're going to determine which side to shade. Okay? And we'll be using method 2. Again, if it's y is by itself, because we are going to solve for y, we will shade below the line if it's a less than symbol, and then above the line if it's a greater than symbol. You could use method 1, which is what we were using before, but we'll be using method 2 mostly in this packet. So first things first, for number 1, let's go ahead and write down our inequality right here. All right. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to try and get y by itself. And notice how there's essentially a plus 3x being added to y. We need to get rid of that. What's the opposite of adding? Subtracting. So we're going to subtract 3x from both sides. Note that that will go away, cancel out, and I'm left with y less than or equal to. Now, a lot of students in class wanted to put these together. Don't do that. Why? Because the 7 doesn't have an x. The negative 3 does. So we're going to write the negative 3x part first, and then plus 7. Why do you think I put plus 7? Because it's a positive, right? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to decide whether we're going to draw a solid line or a dashed line. So take a moment right now and decide, circle, which one you think you'll use. This is the symbol we have. Which line do you think we will use? Solid line. All right, go ahead and identify your slope, which in this case is negative 3. Now, if you're wondering, where did that 1 come from? I could write any number as a fraction by writing a 1 underneath it. So that could be 5, 6 over 1, negative 3 over 1. I can write any fraction by writing just merely a 1 underneath it. This is going to help us so that we can make more points, which is something that we reviewed in some of the previous lessons. So if you don't know how to graph a line, we're going to review that a little bit in here, but make sure you're going back to those lessons and going over how to graph a line from slope-intercept form. Our b value, our y-intercept, is 7. So on your y-axis, where is 7 on your y-axis? You should have put a point here. All right. Now our slope, which is negative 3 over 1, if it's a negative 3, do you think we're going to go up or down? Down and over 1. So from here, let's go down 3 and over 1. We'll do the same thing going down 3. Sorry about that. And over 1. That was really bad, by the way. But you get the idea. We'll go down 3 and over 1 and keep creating points. Down 3, over 1. Down 3 and over 1. And we're going to draw our line, but first we said that it was going to be a solid line, and that was because if this is our symbol, hey, that's one of those, it has an underline. It must be solid. And then if you're wondering, why did she shade below? Remember, if it looks like a less than, or even it has a less than or equal to, kind of even looks like an L, which kind of looks like less. So when you think less, do you think shading above or below? Below. All right. And yes, thank you, computer. A little too late, but yes, we are going to shade below the line. All right, let's go on to the next one. So number 2, we're going to go ahead and write that down again. And we're going to try and get y by itself. Right now, there is a number next to y. It's being multiplied, just in case anyone's never told you that. A number and a letter, when they're really close together, they're being multiplied. What's the opposite of multiplying? Dividing. So we're going to divide everything by 6. Notice this is going to be 1. Y greater than. Now 2 divided by 6. If you actually work that out, it's probably going to be a decimal. So let's go ahead and keep that a fraction. Go ahead and work out what negative 18 divided by 6 is. Go ahead and work that out. And unpause, we should have gotten negative 3. So again, I'm going to rewrite this down below. We're going to identify our slope and y-intercept. Before we continue, let's go ahead and look at our symbol, which is right here, and decide whether we're going to have a solid or dashed line. And we're going to have a dashed line, guys. Means our line's going to have a little bit of breaks in it. All right, so on our y-axis, go ahead and find where negative 3 would be. It would be up here or down there. down here. And since 2 over 6 is our slope, 2 is positive, and so 6. Are we going to go up or down if 2 is positive? Up. So we'll go up 2 and 6 to the right. So we'll go up 2 and 6 to the right. You really only need 2 points, but if you want to draw more, you can go down 2 and 6 to the right. But it is a dashed line, so let's go ahead and, using this symbol, it will be a dashed line. Are we going to shade above or below? Shade above. So notice for the checkpoint, which is, I find a little bit of amusing, they already graph for us the inequality, but I want us to practice solving for y. So let's do that here. Notice here we have 2x less than y minus 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to move that y over to the left because that's what we're used to seeing. So what's the opposite of a positive y? Negative y. So that'll cancel out. And I'm left with negative 2x minus y less than negative 3. So let's go ahead and move now the x over to the right-hand side. What's the opposite of a positive 2x? Negative. So that'll cancel out, and I'm left with negative y less than negative 2x minus 3. We're not going to put those together because 3 does not have an x. All right, we're almost done. Y is almost by itself, but there is one negative there. What's the opposite of multiplying? Dividing. And note, did we divide by a negative just now? Yes, we did. So we're going to flip that inequality. And notice that that inequality flips. And notice here that negative 1 divided by 2 is 2. Bring down the x. And negative 3 divided by 1 is positive 3. All right. If you need help with any of the homework, I will be doing a separate video for that. But please come into the center if you do need additional support. I'll see you on the next video.